Let's just start off with this because it's a fun intro to the whole thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies. So
have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you.
That was Attorney General Pam Bondi a few months ago saying that, yes, there was a client list of all of Jeffrey Epstein, financier, sex trafficker, on her desk, and that we'll know soon enough. And now, yesterday, the DOJ is saying, there's no client list. There is no client list of Jeffrey Epstein, and we've done the entire investigation, and Jeffrey Epstein did in fact commit suicide, and there was no foul play. Anyway, goodbye. So
there's no jail for trafficking no one to no one.
No one to no one. Exactly. Clients? Whom? He wasn't even a financier. He didn't even have those clients. Now let's get into it. Obviously, this is just incredible because for months now, for years now, MAGA and broadly anyone who's kind of interested in this story, who does not like that there are high-powered people abusing other people, who are running sex trafficking rings of young women, and girls, we've all been like, yeah, man, there's more to the story of Jeffrey Epstein. Let's get to the bottom of it. But MAGA really took it one step farther, and we've known this. And for many, many, many months and years, people like Dan Bongino, who was a podcaster, people like Kash Patel, who is a podcaster, host, and influencer guy in the orbit, not really as much of a podcast host, more, he actually had a position in the first Trump administration. I don't want to slight my man. They are now in the FBI, but they have long held that there was foul play in that courtroom, in the cell, where Jeffrey Epstein was being held, and that they were going to get to the bottom of it. And why isn't the deep state actually released any of the files, any of the information, any of the video? And now they are completely changing their tune. Here is Dan Bongino falling in line with what the Trump administration is telling them to say.
And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay, he killed himself definitively. Here's Kash Patel, and I just want to flag that he's on this guy Benny Johnson's show, and Benny Johnson, instead of saying pedophile, says pederast, and it really bothers me, and it's weird, and I don't know what that is.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if release the names, right?
And I've said it, Dan Bongino said it, we've reviewed all the information, and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself. Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on? Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed?
I do think that you wouldn't give it to us. I do think that you wouldn't be honest. I do think that you would lie if it was at the behest of a man you literally wrote a children's book about called The Plot Against the King, in which you deified Donald Trump and make yourself some sort of like little magician figure. Like, these people are, number one, sycophants of Donald Trump, and number two, Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theorists. But number one is always number one. So wait, let's just break it down really quick. Vanessa, indulge me 1 second while I dig into this. There is a client list of Jeffrey Epstein's. It was a black book. It was published in 2015. The numbers are redacted, but the names are not redacted. Donald Trump is on that list. Naomi Campbell is on that list, okay?
Yes.
Gawker published this back in 2015 when they were still around and Peter Thiel didn't completely destroy them. So we've known who's on the list. We know through lots of reporting, oh yeah, okay, Clinton was on, a flight to Epstein's Island. But
There are pictures of them together.
Donald Trump has pictures of him with Epstein, many of them. Him and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving 20 years, again, who was the right-hand woman of Epstein. And Michael Wolff, I always get him confused because I want it to be Michelle. Michael Wolff, reporter and journalist, has documented after hours and hours and hours of interviews with Epstein that Epstein and Donald Trump were homies. They were super tight. They had a falling out because Donald Trump outbid a property that Epstein wanted, and it made him mad. And of course, they shared girlfriends. They both lived in Palm Beach. Donald Trump once called Epstein a terrific person. And he said, quote, he likes women a little bit on the younger side. The conspiracy is hitting you in the face. Why? Because here's the final piece of it. Who was president when Epstein was finally arrested? Donald Trump, 2019. Who was president when Epstein's vault was raided in Palm Beach, I believe, with tons of CDs, with incriminating photos, with documents, with lists? Donald Trump's FBI did that. So please allow me to bring up the sign that I keep by my streaming desk once and for all.
Oh my God, I love that you have that.
I have this because sometimes I do Piers Morgan and they interrupt me a lot. And so, although they haven't had me back in a very long time, Trump killed Epstein, okay? I'm sorry. I don't know how to say this to you in any other way. Trump fucking killed Epstein. And you know how I know he killed Epstein? Because listen to him today. After a reporter asks about the Epstein, the lack of Epstein client lists and the no Epstein files, listen to him today, specifically trying to say, wow, how dare you ask about Epstein because there's a national tragedy.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. Vanessa, it's so fun. This clip is amazing to me because Trump never shames people for going on tangents or asking a question or distracting from a national tragedy. He loves distractions from national tragedies because it's distractions against his own faults, his own fucking flaws. But in this one instance, he's going to be like, wow, you're still talking about Epstein. I deliberately hired these people to cover my tracks after my FBI raided his vault and found, according to Michael Wolff, Epstein had photos of Donald Trump with underage women. Like, I don't know. I could literally go on and on about this. Last piece of this I need to just drop for everybody. And of course, we all need to know. Marlo Stern of the Daily Beast also put out this tweet, which is important to remember, some receipts here. Between 2011 and 2019, Pam Bondi was Florida Attorney General when a ton of evidence and lawsuits against Epstein and his plane records became public and didn't charge him with a single crime. Epstein was only arrested 6 months after she left office on sex trafficking charges in Florida and New York. Trump's pick for Labor Secretary Alexandra Acosta served as Attorney General for Florida's Southern District and gave Epstein a cushy plea deal in 2008 that allowed him to sidestep sex trafficking charges. Epstein is also on tape saying Trump was his best friend and expressing knowledge of their inner workings of his cabinet during Trump's first term. I swear to God, it's right there. It's right there.
It's right in front of our faces. It's been there. It's been there since 2015. There's been more than enough evidence, but he can get away with murder. So,
yes, absolutely. I mean, and the last thing I'll say is it's really sus, and we're going to learn more about it. But the DOJ also released an 11-hour video taken outside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell on the night that he killed himself. And they say it's evidence that there was no, foul play, because there's no image of someone entering the cell or leaving the cell. But what's super weird about that, Vanessa, is like, for until now, everyone has basically, we've known that there was no footage from the cell. Like, there's been no footage. That was the line. There's no footage. There's absolutely no footage of what happened. And yes, I do need to cover my ass. Allegedly, he killed him. Now suddenly they turn up with 11 hours of footage never before seen that what the DOJ is sitting on? Are you kidding me?
absolutely not.
Allow me to be a conspiracy theorist and say, that is so smelly. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.